Donald Trump is lashing out at former rivals in the Republican primaries for breaking their pledge to support the GOP nominee no matter who won. Now he wants to hold their feet to the fire, saying they should never be allowed to run for office again if they refuse to back him. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, senior advisor to the Trump campaign, joins us from Little Rock. Nice to see you, ma'am.
Great to be on. Thanks for having me.
Is it really you're going to try to ban somebody from running for public office because a politician broke a promise? Wouldn't that sort of ban every politician from ever running for office again?
Look, I think right now the stakes are entirely too high for us to surrender this election to Hillary Clinton. I think Republican elected officials, and particularly the Republican establishment, more than anybody should realize the threat that a Clinton presidency brings, and they should get on board with Donald Trump, and they should be doing every single thing within their power to make sure that she is not the next president and Donald Trump is.
Okay, I understand that, but those who don't should be banned from ever running for public office? I mean, is that a literal sense or a figurative sense?
Look, I think they're going to have to answer the Republican voters. One of the big things they need to remember is that Donald Trump has won more votes this cycle than any other candidate in the history, including some of these guys that haven't gotten on board to endorse him. The Republican voters are going to be the ones that will determine whether these guys could ever get elected again. Whether or not they run, I think that's up to them. But whether or not they could get elected after not supporting the nominee that so many millions of Republican voters and, frankly, independent voters have come out to support and say, this is the guy, this is who we pick, this is who we want to go up against Hillary Clinton. If they don't support that, then I don't think that they're going to do very well with those same voters in any election that they're running in.
No, and some of them would argue that it's just the opposite, that was what will differentiate them for their voters. But moving on now to the Trump campaign, looking forward, possible vice presidential picks. Washington Post article saying two of 5 names that we know of that are being vetted. Newt Gingrich, number 1, Chris Christie, number 2. Any more names you want to add to that list for us?
I'm not going to add any more names, certainly, to that list. There's a lot of speculation out there.
Is your dad on the list?
Big things. If he is, I haven't been told that. So, but I think that the cards are being held very close to the vest on this one. The big thing here that is taking place is that Donald Trump is taking this process extremely seriously and being very, very thorough. And he's looking for somebody who complements the ticket that has a little bit of that government experience, but also hasn't been somebody that is so against a lot of the policies that he's put forward and that, frankly, the American public has rallied around.
There's been a lot of criticism of Donald Trump's management technique when he was managing the Trump organization. Successful or not, they say that he has a lot of problems in his management techniques. How do you then turn that into picking a vice president? Do you need somebody who's a yes man, or you need somebody who's a team of rivals kind of leadership person?
You know, I don't think he's looking for a yes man. He's somebody, I've had the opportunity to spend a time with him, somebody that takes into account the people in the room around him. He's actually a really good listener and absorbs a lot of information very quickly. So he needs somebody that can help him through this process in pushing legislation through and things like that, since he hasn't had a background extensive in that. As far as his management style, I think it's been pretty successful. He beat out 16 extremely qualified candidates in this election process when nobody thought he had a chance in the world. He's the guy left standing on the stage to defeat Hillary Clinton. He's polling ahead of her in some places that most Republicans have never won. He's, I think, given her the biggest run for her money that any candidate could, and that certainly points to pretty strong management to me.
All right. Well, hard to argue with success in some ways. Appreciate you being here with us. We'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks.
All right. Go get some whole hog barbecue for me.